Welcome to the Explainer. So today we're going to do something a little different. We're not just reading an ancient myth, we're decoding it. What if I told you that a story thousands of years old wasn't just a story at all, but maybe, just maybe, it was a detailed tech spec for a machine we're still trying to invent today?
All right, so let's jump in a time machine and head back, way back. We're diving into the pages of the ancient Hindu epic, the Ramayana. And why? Because buried inside this incredible story is a description of a piece of technology. Something so advanced it makes you wonder about, well, everything you thought you knew about the ancient world.
This is the Pushpaka Vimana. Now, at first glance, yeah, it's a mythical flying chariot. But the story says it had two very specific abilities. And these abilities seem to just break the laws of physics. They sound way more like magic than anything you'd find in an engineering textbook.
And right there, that's what we're digging into today. We're going to throw out the idea of magic for a second. Instead, we're going to look at this story like it's a technical manual, a spec sheet. We're going to decode the magic and see if we can find the blueprint for a machine that is, frankly, mind-blowingly advanced. Okay, Section 1. Let's talk about its first absolutely wild feature, the guidance system. I mean, think about it. This thing had no pilot, no reins, no joystick, no steering wheel. So how in the world did it know where to go?
And this is where it gets really interesting. The text is super specific. It says the Vimana was steered by the mind or the voice of its master. Just picture that for a second. An ancient warrior speaks a command, and you see these glowing digital sound waves travel from his mouth right into this high-tech dashboard. A holographic map just flickers to life. See? That doesn't sound like a magical spell, does it? That sounds an awful lot like a user interface.
You know, we actually have a name for this today. In modern engineering, we call it Level 5 autonomy. It's the holy grail, the absolute peak of self-driving tech that companies are pouring billions and billions of dollars into right now. A vehicle that can navigate all on its own, anywhere you want to go, with absolutely no human help. Does that ring a bell?
Now, for something like that to actually work, you'd need a whole set of incredibly advanced technologies all working together. You'd need a voice interface, that's natural language processing. You'd need a global mapping system, kind of like GPS. And, this is key, you'd need sensors to see the world around it. I mean, imagine this enormous golden craft soaring through the clouds, and it's scanning the mountains below with these glowing blue LiDAR lasers so it doesn't crash. What we're describing here is basically an ancient superpowered version of Tesla's autopilot.
Okay, so autonomous flight is pretty incredible, right? But the second feature, well, this one is even more baffling. From an engineering perspective, it's just out there.
So get this. The text says that no matter how many people get on board, the Vimana automatically expands to create exactly one more empty seat. Now, any engineer will tell you a solid chunk of metal just can't do that. It breaks the fundamental laws of physics. Or does it?
Well, what if the frame, the chassis, wasn't just a solid piece of metal? What if it was built from something way more advanced, something we're just now, in the 21st century, starting to get our heads around? What if it was made of programmable matter?
So, how would that even work? Well, imagine the chariot isn't a single object. Imagine it's made of billions of tiny, microscopic nanobots. So, a new person steps on board. Load sensors detect them. The AI instantly calculates the new space needed. And then, those little nanobots get to work, reconfiguring the entire chassis on a microscopic level. They literally build a new seat out of the material that's already there. That's not magic, folks. That's a perfect description of modular robotics and programmable matter in action.
I mean, when you put it all side by side like this, the parallels are just striking. You can't ignore them. What the myth calls steering by mind or voice, we call AI-driven autonomy and NLP. What the myth calls magical expansion, we call programmable matter and modular robotics. The ancient descriptions line up almost perfectly with our most advanced, futuristic engineering concepts.
So the big takeaway here is that this wasn't just a flying machine. That's almost the least interesting part. What the Ramayana seems to be describing is a true smart vehicle. A single, cohesive system where the artificial intelligence, the navigation, and even the physical material of the vehicle are all working together as one integrated, intelligent unit.
Look at this list. This isn't just a bunch of cool sci-fi buzzwords. This is a blueprint. Think about it. The story of the Pushpaka Vimana might just be the earliest record we have of these concepts, not just individually, but as an interconnected system of technologies that we are still dreaming about today.
And that leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? If a story this old can describe technology we're barely inventing now with this much detail, you have to wonder, what other ancient myths are out there that aren't myths at all? What other technological blueprints are just hiding in plain sight, waiting for us to finally learn how to read them?